Very good morning, all. So let's continue with our chapter number two and officially unit number 3. So we started with data models. We have seen what is database methodology and why do we require database design and what are the steps that are involved in database design. That means whenever you are going for database design, you need to first understand what is the requirement of a system, then you need to structure that requirements in a proper way, and then you are going to start with database design, and this process is known as design methodology. Then we have constraints, mainly 5 constraints: check, not null, unique key, primary key, and foreign key. You already know, I think. Is there any doubt in any of the constraints? Anyone, any doubts in any of the constraints? And don't worry, the constraints will be covered again in the lab session. So there is not an issue. Even if you are having some minor doubts, don't worry. It will be covered in your lab session. Maybe in the upcoming next week's labs. Or that by the end of this September, you will be able to know what are all these constraints are. And then we've seen there are 5 types of models in which you can represent your data. Hierarchical model, network model, class diagram, that is object oriented model, relational database model, that is the table actually, the tuples, the relation, the attributes, and last one is ER diagram. So can anyone tell me what do you mean by ER diagram? What do you mean by ER diagram? A graphical or pictorial representation of database. Okay. Other than that, anything? It shows the relationship between the entity. Very good, Rahul. Right. So we can say that ER diagram is a graphical or pictorial representation of our database design. Right. So what do you mean by entity? What do you mean by entity? Anyone? What do you mean by entity? What do you mean by entity? Anyone? Any idea? Entity. So entity actually means a particular object or a thing that is different than the other thing. Let us take a simple example. I am saying that a student is an entity. So if I take one of the student from you, let us say Hardish. So Hardish is having its own properties. Let's say the first name, the middle name, the last name, the enrollment number, the mobile number, the email ID. So all these are the properties of Hardish entity, right? The student entity. So each student is different than the other student. So let us say Hardish's details are different than Hanil's details. So Hanil will have different first name, middle name, last name, email ID and mobile number, right? So we can say that a student is an entity where different types of students are having the same properties, but the values of each properties are different, right? So we can say that was single entity, an object which is differing than the other object is known as entity. And when we combine the similar type of entities in a one set, we call it as entity set. That means if I combine all the students of third semester TC1 class with same properties like first name, middle name, last name, mobile and email, if I have this properties and if I combine all the students in one set, then I can say that that set is known as entity set. That means That particular set is having different entities, but each entity is having different properties. Sorry, each entity is having same properties, but for each property the values are different. Right? Am I clear? Each student is having same properties, but for those properties the values of the properties are different. Right? So this is what entity set is, and whatever we call it as entity set, it is represented in ER diagram by a rectangle symbol. It is represented by a rectangle symbol. Then we seen what is attribute. So attribute are the properties. As I said, first name, middle name, last name, mobile number, email. So all these are known as the properties or attributes of ER diagram. All these are known as attributes or properties of ER diagram. And it is symbolized by which symbol? What is the symbol of attribute? Oval shape or ellipse, I can say. Right, so let's continue from that only. So let me share my screen and we shall start. Yes, Sivanand. So this is what we have started, the data model, the design methodology, the constraints. Then we have seen the types of data models. We already seen this, right? And we started with ER diagram where entity is an object symbolized by a rectangle shape and a group of similar entities, that means similar properties but different values, is known as entity set. And then we have the attributes. Attributes means the properties of the entities like name, first name, middle name, anything. So it is symbolized by an oval or an ellipse, right? So let's continue from here, the types of attributes. So we have different types of attributes. First one is simple attribute. So simple attribute means an attribute which has a single value. That means an attribute is having only one value. So employee ID is known as a simple attribute. That means this ID cannot have more than one values. Cannot have more than one value. So cannot be divided into sub attributes. So this employee ID we cannot divide it into these sub attributes. That means we cannot create its sub part, right? And on the other side we have a composite attribute. It means that we can divide a particular attribute into sub attributes. Let's say the name is an attribute. So I'm dividing that name into first name, the middle name and the last name. So this is known as composite attribute. That means we are dividing the name, an attribute, into sub attributes. So I am storing for name, the first name, the middle name and the last name into three different columns or attributes. So this is what the composite attribute means. So we have a name, and name has been divided to first name, middle name and last name. So this is what composite attribute mean. If you can divide a particular attribute into more than one or sub attributes, then it is known as composite attribute. Right? Am I clear with this, everyone? Is this clear? Any doubt? Anyone? Okay. Then the next step is single valued attribute and multi-valued attribute. So what is single valued attribute? The attribute will have only one value. Or for a particular attribute, you can have only one value. You cannot have more than one value. So employee ID again is an example. The ID will be only one. There cannot be more than one ID for an employee. Right? So similarly, there cannot be more than one enrollment numbers for a student. There cannot be more than one GR numbers for a student. So this is known as single valued attribute, where you have only one value for a particular attribute or a column or a property. And on the other side, we have multi-valued attribute. So multi-valued attribute means an attribute can have more than one values. An attribute can have more than one values. So the example is phone number. A phone number can have more than one values, right? Some of you may be having more than one mobile numbers, right? Or more than two mobile numbers, so in some case. So this is what we call it as multi-valued attribute. That means the phone number can have more than one values. Let us say the first mobile number and then the second mobile number and then the third mobile number. So it is having more than one values, right? So the symbol of that multi-valued attribute is this, two ovals. That means two ellipse. So don't have a confusion here that if you are having more than two values, that means they are having three values, then there will be three ellipses. No, only two ovals are the symbol of multi-valued attribute. If you are having three values, you will not draw the three ovals. Two ovals means more than one values, that is multi-valued attribute. So single value is having a single oval, multi-valued attribute is having two ovals. Then you have 3, 4, 5, 6, more than 10 values, you will symbolize it as a two ovals only, a small oval and followed by a large oval. So this is the symbol of multi-valued attribute. And what is the symbol of composite attribute? You just divide an attribute to the sub-attributes. So this is the symbol of composite attribute. So we have so far learnt four types of attributes: simple, composite, single valued and multi-valued attributes. Clear everyone? Any doubts? Anyone in this? Anyone? Any doubts in this? Okay. The next type of attribute is the derived attribute. So what does the derived attribute mean? Derived attribute means that you can derive a value for that particular attribute from some other attribute. So what does this mean? I can derive a value of an attribute from the existing attribute. Can you tell me what do you mean by this? You can derive the value for an attribute from some other attribute's value. Any guesses? What do you mean by this? Any guesses? Inherit a value of attribute to the other. Okay, Shivanand, I can accept that particular term. But still, what do you mean by the statement that I am speaking, that we are actually getting the value of one attribute from the other attribute? Very good. Right. So derived attribute means its value is calculated or derived from the other attribute. For example, age of a person can be easily known from his or her birth date. Right. Similarly, if I say that if my birth date is, let us say, 12th of December 1988, right? Then what will be my age? It will be like around 33 or 32, right? So if I can derive a value for an attribute from some other attribute's value, then I can say that it is a derived attribute. So we can say that if I am having a birth date of a person, I can easily derive or know what is the age of that particular person. So that is what derived attribute means. We are deriving or calculating the value of that particular attribute from some other attribute's value. And it is symbolized by dashed oval. It is symbolized by dashed oval. Clear? What is derived attribute? We are actually calculating the value of that particular value attribute from some other attribute. Clear with this? Or any doubts? Or let us say I am having an interest, right? I am having an amount. And if I want to find out EMI, right? So this EMI will be the derived attribute because this EMI can be calculated from this amount as well as from this interest. So we can use the combination of these two to get the value of this EMI. So this is what the second example of derived attribute is. That means we are actually calculating the value for a particular attribute using some other attribute. That is what derived attribute mean. Right? Clear with this, guys? Everyone? Or any doubts? Anyone? Any doubts? Anyone? Okay, then no doubts. Then let's continue. Right. So now let us see the complete example here. So let me pick up some of the names from the list. Rahul, can you tell me where can you see the composite attribute in this particular diagram? Where can you see the composite attributes in this diagram? Only Rahul Yadav will answer. Where are the composite attributes? Okay, great. Okay, yes. Only composite. Okay, okay. Right. So we have address has been divided into apartment, street and area. So this is a composite attribute. Let me call it as CA. Similarly, this name has been divided into first name, middle name and last name. So this again is a composite attribute. Clear, guys? All of you? This is the summary of the types of attributes. Is that clear? Yes, Janvi? Isn't it clear? Okay. Then Janvi, tell me the multi-valued attribute from this diagram. Which one is the multi-valued attribute? Right, so this phone number is a multi-valued attribute. Great. And let me pick up someone. Nilesh. Nilesh, tell me where is the derived attribute? Nilesh. Nilesh, are you there? Nilesh. Nilesh Ajani. Okay, Anjali, can you tell me where is the derived attribute? Where is the derived attribute? Anjali, where is the derived attribute? Age, right? So this age is a derived attribute and it is being derived from this particular birth date, right? And you can see that this employee is an entity set. This employee is an entity set. I can say that it is ES, that is entity set. And it is having the attributes like ID, name, address, birth date, phone number and age. And name has been subgrouped to first name, middle name and last name. Address has been subgrouped to apartment, street and area. And phone number is a multi-valued attribute and age is a derived attribute. So clear with this, everyone? So employee is an entity set. It is having few properties or attributes and some of the attributes are derived, composite and multi-valued attributes. Clear with this, everyone? Okay, fine, no issues, Nilesh. Clear with this, everyone? Okay, so now what you will do is you have to create this type of diagram. You have to create such type of diagram for hotel management, hotel database as well as the college database. But before that, let's see the example. You can see ID is a simple attribute. Name and address are the composite attributes. Then ID is again a single valued and phone number is a multi-valued and age is the derived attribute. So this is what the types of attributes are. And now you need to do this particular task. Create ER diagram for college database and hotel database, and you need to remember this thing. You need to use all types of attributes in both of them. So now start drawing this, and I'll ask anyone to share the screen and show the diagram. So start creating the ER diagram of this type of diagram in your book somewhere, and I will ask anyone to share the screen and show whatever he has drawn, he or she has drawn. So go for it. Right. So this is what you can use. So draw the diagram for it. Draw the diagram for college database. Draw the diagram for hotel database. That's it. So Palak, can you tell me what type of entity set you will create in collect database first of all? I'm talking about entity set. Palak. What will be the entity sets of collect database? We discussed this in the last lecture. Staff, student and library. Very good. So now what will be the attributes of staff? What will be the attributes of student and what will be the attributes of library? And you need to write down the attributes as well as you need to show somewhere the types of attributes in each entity set. Everyone, this is the instruction common for everyone. You need to use all types of attributes in each entity set. All types of attributes in each entity set. I'm giving you 5 minutes to complete this task for college and hotel database. And Hetansh, what will be the entity sets for hotel database? What will be the entity sets for hotel database? Hetansh. Hetansh, are you there? Okay, fine. You can say staff and customer. Staff, room and customer. This can be the three types of entity sets. Three entity sets of a particular hotel. Staff, room, customer. So for room you can have a room number, room type, room charge, facility, whatever you like you can add in that particular. Anyone who is ready with the diagram, or at least he or she knows what are the entity sets and what are the attributes of each entity sets? Anyone? No one has created so far. So let's discuss here only. Let us say for college database we are having staff, student and library. So for staff we will have staff ID, staff name, and name will be subdivided into first name, middle name and last name. Then we'll have staff mobile number, that will be multi-valued attribute. Staff address, again you can divide it into street, apartment and city and area. You can have birth date, and that can and you can have age. Age will be the derived attribute. So we have already covered all types of attributes here. Similarly for student, we will have student enrollment number. Then we have student name, again divided into first name, middle name, last name. Mobile number and father contact number, and contact number will have multi-value attribute, say student number and father's number. Then again age and a birth date. So we have covered everything again here. Then in library you can also have library. You can have the name of the book. You can have a book. Book can be divided into subdivided into book name, book author, the price, and the pages. Then you can have uh, issue date and return date, and you can also have a column called penalty, and penalty can be directly derived from the return date, that if the return date is getting exhausted, then you can have a penalty. So this is what we have covered in a college database. So all the types of attributes we have covered in our college database. Similarly, in hotel also you can create such type of diagram. Students, just make sure that whenever you are creating the ER diagram, this is just the first part of ER diagram, right? So whenever we are dealing with the ER diagram actually, right, try to have at least four attributes, or four to five attributes for each entity set, and try to provide one or two types of attributes in each entity set. So this will be helping you to get more marks in your exam. This is the reason why we are doing this. This would help you to get more marks from in your exam. Right, so let's continue from here. I am not discussing right now anything, but I am hoping that everyone is clear with the entity set and attributes and its types. Anyone is having any doubt in this, then please raise it. Else we can move ahead. Anyone? Any doubts in this? Okay. Right, then let's continue from here. So this is what the types of attributes are. But still complete this task because we will require this task as we move ahead in this chapter. So the next is relationships. So each and every entity set in your diagram will be connected with some relation. So each and every entity set should have some relation. Let us say staff is connected to student, student is connected to library, staff is also connected to library. So how these entity sets are connected with each other, that particular thing is symbolized by a relationship, and it is the symbol of relationship is diamond shape, right? So relationship is a link between several entities. As I said, each and every entity set tries to connect with every other entity set using some relationship, and that is what we call it as relationship set. It must be placed between two entities and a line linking to the entity set. That means you are going to connect both the entity sets, and between that there will be a diamond shape which states that there is a relationship, right? A relationship between two entities is known as binary relationship, and the relationship between three entities is known as ternary relationship. So if you are having one particular diamond for three different entity sets, then we call it as ternary. If you have a diamond for two entity sets, then we call it as binary relationship set. So this is what relationship means, right? The diamond shape, this one, right? And this is what the example is. See, student issue a book, or we can say a book is being issued by a student. So here issue is a relation between student and book. Here issue is a relation between a student and a book. So this is what relationship means. Clear everyone? What is relation? You need to provide some type of connection between two entities or entity sets rather. So here student is one entity set, right? And here book is also other entity set. So both of these entity sets are connected by a relationship called issue. Clear with this guys, everyone? Or any doubts? Any doubts? Anyone in this, in relationships? Anyone any doubts in relationship? Okay. Then the next topic is mapping cardinality. Now what do you mean by mapping cardinality? Just read out the first statement. Just read the first statement or the first point. What does it mean? It defines the number of entities of one entity set connected to the number of entities of another entity set using a relationship set. So what does this mean? You are having two entity sets. Let us assume that. Let me draw it here somewhere. Right. You are having two entity sets A and B. Let us assume this, right? And what does this mean? It defines that the number of entities of one set, let us say this is set 1 and this is called set 2. So number of entities of one set connected to the number of entities of another set. So let us say this A is having 50 entities and this B is having 60 entities. So it states that what number of entities are connected with what number of entities of other set. What number of entities of this set A are connected with what number of entities of this set B. So this is what the cardinality means. This is what mapping cardinality means. It is the most useful in describing the binary relationship sets. So if you have only two entity sets connected with this diamond shape, right, then it is most useful to show the relationship. So we have mainly four types: one to one to many to one, and many to many. So these are the types of mapping cardinalities and the most IMP question for your examination. Right? So any doubt in mapping cardinality theory? What do you mean by mapping cardinality? It clearly states that the number of entities of one set connected with the number of entities of other entity set using some relation. Clear with this? What do you mean by mapping cardinality? Or any doubts? Anyone, any doubts in this mapping cardinality? Again, I am repeating the number of entities of one set connected with the number of entities of other set via some relation. That's it. Right? Everyone? Okay, then let's see the types of this particular cardinality. So first one is one to one. So what does it mean? An entity in an entity set A is associated with at most one entity in entity set B, and an entity set in entity set B is associated with at most one entity in entity set A. So it is quite confusing terms, but just remember that one entity of set A is connected with one and only one entity of set B. That is what this means. No need of saying the reciprocal part or vice versa part. Only just remember that one entity of set A is connected with one entity of set B. So let us take an example here. Don't look this example. I'm taking one more example here directly. So let us say there is one entity set student and there is one other entity set, let us say faculty. Right? This particular student is having 30 records or 30 entities and it is having, let us say, 30 entities. So what does this mean? Let us take some example. The student names are Raj, Man, let us say Kia, some name. And here the faculty names are, let us say Shubh, let us say Samir, and let us say Joshi, anything, any name. So what does this mean? One-to-one mapping cardinality. One-to-one mapping cardinality means Raj is connected with Shubh sir only. That means Raj is learning only from Shubh sir. He is not learning from Samir sir or Joshi sir. Similarly, Man is learning from Samir sir only. He is not learning from any of the other faculty. Similarly, Kia is learning from Joshi sir. Kia is learning from Joshi sir. So we can say that one entity of the student table or student entity set is connected with one and only one entity of this faculty entity set. Clear with this? So Raj is connected to Shubh only, Man is connected to this Samir only, and Kia is connected to this Joshi only. Clear? So one to one. So one entity set or one entity of one entity set connected with one entity of other entity set. Clear with this? So this is what one-to-one mapping cardinality means. One entity with other entity of other entity set. Clear everyone? Or shall I repeat again? Clear or shall I repeat? Anyone requires repetition? Okay, so Parth, just see here, I am having one student entity and I am having one faculty entity set rather. And in this entity set student, I am having Raj, Man and Kia as a student. And similarly in the faculty entity set, I am having Shubh, Samir and Joshi as a entities. So what does this one-to-one mapping cardinality means? One student is connected to one and only one faculty. So Raj is connected to only Shubh, Man is connected to only Shamir, and Kia is only connected to Joshi. So this is what we can say that one-to-one mapping cardinality. One student connected to only one faculty. Clear now? Clear with this now? Right. Then we can go for the next type of anti-mapping cardinality, that is one to many. So what does one to many means? One entity of one set is connected to more than one entity of other set. Right? One entity of set A is connected to more than one entities of set B. So this is what the mapping cardinality one to many means. Let's take the same example here. Let us say student S and the faculty F. Again a Raj, Man and let us say Kia. And here let us say again the same faculty Shubh, Sam and Jai, let us say. So now these are the three students and these are the three faculties. So what does this one to many means? One student is connected to more than one faculties. So I am saying that Raj is learning from Shubh, Raj is learning from Sam and Raj is also learning from Jai. So one student Raj is connected with three faculties on other and other side. Similarly, Man is learning from Sam and Man is learning from Jai. Similarly, Kia is learning from Shubh, Kia is learning from Jai. So this is what we can call it as one to many relation or one to many mapping cardinality. So what does this mean? One student or one entity of one entity set is connected to more than one entities of other set. So one student is connected to more than one faculties. One student is connected to more than one faculties. Clear everyone? What do you mean by mapping cardinality one to many? Any repetition required here? Any repetition required? Okay, then let's go for the next, that is many to one mapping cardinality. So what does this many to one mapping cardinality mean? It means that many entities of one set are connected to one and only one entity of other set. Many entities of one set are connected to one and only one entities of other set. Let's take the example again. So let us say Raj, Man, and what was the last name? Kia. Okay. And here we have Shubh, we have Sam, and we have Jai. So now, what does this many to one mapping cardinality means? Many entities of one set connected to one and only one entity of other set. So what does this mean? Many students are connected to one and only one faculty. Many students are connected to one and only one faculty. So let us say Raj is connected to Shubh, Man is also connected to Shubh, Kia is also connected to Shubh. Similarly, let us say Man is connected to Sam, then this is okay. But if I say that Kia is connected to Sam, then this is wrong. Because we cannot have more than one on this particular side, that is right hand side. So we can say that many students connected to one and only one faculty. Many students connected to one and only one faculty, right? So this is what we can say that this is called many to one mapping cardinality, where more than one entities of set 1 is connected to only one and only one entities of set 2. So here we can say more than one student connected to one and only one faculty. Clear everyone? So this is what many to one means. This is what many to one means. Many students to one and only one faculty. Clear everyone with this? Or any doubts or any repetition required? Many students to one and only one faculty. That is many to one cardinality. Repetition required? Anyone? Okay. Then the last one is many to many. So can anyone explain me what can be the many to many? Please write down the answer in the chats. What can be the many to many relationship? What can be the many to many? Any answers? What can be the many to many relationship? Both sides, one is connected to many. Yes. So we can say that many, more than one entities of one set connected to more than one entities of other set. Yes, very good, Divyansh, Pooja and Shivanand. So what we can say that many students are connected to many faculties. So that is what many to many mapping cardinality mean. More than one entities of one set connected to more than one entities of other set. Right? So let us say Raj is connected to Shubh, Raj is also connected to Shyam, Raj is also connected to Jay, Man is connected to Shubh, Man is connected to Jay, Kia is connected to Sam, and Kia is connected to Jay. So this is what more than one entities of one set connected to more than one entities of other set means. So more than one students are connected with more than one faculties. So Raj is connected to all three, Man is connected to Shubh and Jay, Kia is connected to Sam and Jay. So this is what many to many mapping cardinality means. Clear? So we have one to one student to one faculty, one to many, one student to many faculties, many to one, that means more than one students to one and only one faculty, and many to many, that means more than one students to more than one faculty. So there are mainly four types of mapping cardinalities. Clear with this, guys? Everyone? Any doubts? Anyone? Any doubts? Anyone? Repetition required by any of the student? For any of the student? Okay, then the next thing is I am not continuing with the next topic, but I have to discuss something with you all. So I'm just stopping this PPT. Right. Now you all have received 3 emails from my side. If you have checked your institute email, you would have received 3 emails. One will be the login credentials of Oracle Academy. Second will be an incorrect email. So I have to send an correct email by the third email. So has everyone received my 3 emails first of all? So now what you have to do, you will use the emails and you will go to this academy.oracle. Right? I am just showing you what you need to do. You will go to this academy.oracle. All the instructions are given, but just I am showing you for the one time. You will go to sign in and select sign in to Student Hub. Then here you need to use the username and password already available in your email. It is like say OA, then 9143, and I need to check one of the credentials. Just a moment. Yeah, 91437623. Okay, 7623, and the password is Oracle Academy. Let us say, and once I sign in, just a moment. Yeah, once you are signing in, it will ask you to generate a new password. So just generate the new password, right? And then click on the submit button. Once you click on the submit button, right, you will see right now on the right hand side top, you will see something called user 91437623. So this is the default username of yours. I will change your name here, but you won't be able to change your name. Only I will be able to change your names here. So you will get the reflection on your name here, like your first name and last name here in within a week. So just don't worry. What you need to do is, once you are on this screen, click on this My Channels and you will see one course called MUDMS 2021. Click on that, and in that you will see one course called DP Database Programming with SQL Learner. So you need to click on this. In this, you will come across your complete database, and here below this particular image, you will see one Enroll button. So you need to click on that. So you will get a message, so successful enrollment. So just close it and refresh your page. So now you will be getting your unenroll message. Unenroll button. No need to click this. You will see here this 0% bar. That means the course has been completed 0%. Now you need to go through this complete course from section 1 to section 18, or rather 20, and you need to appear for this midsem exam somewhere and appear for this final exam somewhere, and you need to complete the course 100%, and you will be able to generate the SQL certificate for this. So that certificate you need to generate and save it and store it at your site, and you have to upload that certificate at the end, because this Oracle certification consists of 20 marks of your rubrics. So everyone has to complete this course, generate the certificate. If you are completing this course in a week, then your certificate will have name like user and 91437623. So just wait for a time. I change your name here, right? So this is the step you have to follow. All these steps are already available in your email also, but this is what I have just shown you so that you can know what you have to do. Each and every course contains some PDFs, some videos, so you just need to go through it very quickly. That's it, right? Is that clear, everyone? Great, Rahil, very good. Is that clear, everyone?